New school year is underway. Unfortunately, classrooms all over the U.S., including Connecticut, are facing some drastic budget cuts because pandemic relief funds have expired. Those funds weren't just used to pay for teachers, but also support staff and mental health services. So we got some problems to deal with. Happy to have on the show now Aron Boxer, the founder and CEO of Diversified Education Services. He's here to talk about the impact of these cuts. Aron, good morning. How are you?
Doing well. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you here. Why don't we just start by getting your take on just the state that we're in? I mean, how can educators and parents really understand the impact of these budget cuts, specifically on teacher diversity?
You know, education should really always be a priority. You know, we're investing in our kids' future. There's really no instant gratification when it comes to education. It's a long-term investment. We have to take short-term dollars and put that into the long term by investing in our education infrastructure, in our teachers, in our schools. In terms of diversity, we had this funding that came in, $1.1 billion that came in the American Rescue Plan. And because they were able to take that money and put it towards some recurring expenses, they were able to bring more teachers into the classroom with diverse backgrounds, which has shown to improve education out. But now, because that money was put towards those recurring hires, when that money is disappearing because it's drying up, then they don't have enough money to fund those teachers anymore. Yeah,
and here where we are. And like you said, Aron, I mean, of course, the easiest way to do this would be to just invest more money, but the money's not there. So what ways are there that we can all sort of collectively help support students and school communities amidst the layoffs that either have already come or may even come next year, because a lot of towns and cities in Connecticut are just using their rainy day funds to just try to get through this year?
Right. There's a lot of different ways that they can improve the existing funding. Again, it's not going to be a short-term solution, but there's the ECS, which is how they fund schools, there's not necessarily an equitable distribution as it relates to areas that have more needs, such as the more poor areas of the inner cities. Right now, the Gold Coast down here, we're getting an equal distribution of those dollars, but we have higher tax revenues, which fund teacher salaries and funds education overall. So that's something that needs to be looked at. There's also private partnerships that can be looked at with corporations who are looking to make investments in our schools. That's certainly a possibility. But I think one of the biggest ways that there can be an impact on education today is AI. And we're just learning about this technology. I know the state is working on some legislation that they're going to pass down to the schools about how they can use AI in the classroom. But AI isn't just about helping in the classroom. It could help with administrative tasks, cut down 20 to 40% of the time that teachers are spending putting lesson plans together. But there's also some evidence out there that says that they can reduce the per pupil spending, which in Connecticut is around $20,000, and make the AI a little more efficient as it relates to saving costs.
Yeah, so a lot of what you're talking about is just being smarter with the money that we do have. But that's not to say we can rule out getting more money. So what strategies do you think parents and educators should be using to advocate for either more money or just at least policies to help protect the diversity of the education force?
Parents really need to group together. In special education, which is my background, parents have gotten together to advocate for the children. I mean, this really comes down to our kids. This is investing in our future.
Right.
And when parents get together and they go to City Hall or they're going to the state and they're talking about these stories that have direct impact on them, about the importance of diversity in the classroom, which has come to more light in the last few years since COVID, it is apparent and it's obvious that the graduation rates, right, they were improving, and then because of the pandemic, they started to decline. And we see those rates really dropping in the inner city. So diversity is extremely important.
It is. All right. Thank you, Aron Boxer, for taking the short amount of time that you had, the CEO of Diversified Education Services, just to give us a little bit of perspective on what we can do going forward with an ongoing and maybe even growing problem. We do appreciate the time.
Good to be here.